I've got this item and inventory system where in engine you can see the item icons that the items display as you're scrolling through them. And the item assets in the content browser also have those same icons. They're rendering a custom thumbnail based on the image that the item data asset itself has. Opening up the data asset, you can see it has an inventory icon. If I change that to something like this blueprint 64, I save it, and then we look again. We can see it now is displaying that image. And setting that up takes a little bit of C++, but it's not really that difficult, all things considered. So let's take a look at my code for how I have this set up. As a quick breakdown, it is part of my inventory plugin, and I would advise you, if you're developing a game in general, try to make things in a plugin-like structure, regardless of if it is actually going to be a standalone plugin or not, because it forces you to code things in a modular way, which is just good practice. In this case though, it helps that it is a plugin, because it needs to register some modules. In this case, it registers the inventory module, which is the runtime part of the plugin. It takes care of everything for the inventory code, things that the game itself needs to do. But this item thumbnail renderer obviously doesn't need to be present in the packaged game, right? And matter of fact, it actually can't be because it relies on some editor functionality. So that's why we have this secondary module in my inventory plugin called item thumbnail. The item thumbnail is a module that is only for the editor. And we can see that if I open up the U plugin file for the inventory. We have the two modules, the inventory module, which is the top one here. It's a runtime module and gets loaded at the default phase. The item thumbnail, however, is an editor module. So once the game gets packaged, this doesn't exist in the code anymore. This only exists when the editor is open, when I'm working on the game. That is important here. So we're going to just ignore most of the runtime module stuff, because that's not what this is about. This is about the editor module, which renders the thumbnails for us. In this module, we have a private folder for all the header files. We don't really care about that for right now. And a private folder for all of the actual implementation in the CPP files. What we're going to look for here is the item thumbnail CPP file. So the file that is named the same as the module. This is what Unreal automatically should make for you when you make a new module. It really helps using an IDE that is integrated with Unreal as well, like Rider, as I'm using right now, because it can set up a lot of stuff for you. Now, there's a lot of code here that is actually not important for what we're doing here today right now. The only thing that really matters is that we have this void startup module, because what that does is Unreal, when it loads this plugin, it sees in the U plugin file the modules that it has, and it loads those modules. And what it does is it calls this function when it loads those. Here I have a whole bunch of stuff about a factory for drop tables and a factory for items and all that kind of stuff, which just allows me to right-click create these assets in the editor. Might be a thing that we look into in the future, but for now, this all not important in the least. The only thing that's important for our item thumbnail rendering is, well, this thing that I have labeled as thumbnail item renderer. So when it loads up this module, what we're going to do is we're going to get the U thumbnail manager reference. This ampersand sign is a reference, and that's just a variable that we're making temporarily. So you can call this whatever you want. I call this thumbnail manager ref, and that'll be equal to the U thumbnail manager ::get. This is just a engine function that you can very easily use to get the thumbnail manager. And that more or less always should be valid, because you're getting this from the engine itself. However, we still do want to check if that is valid, so we just wrap the next line of code in an if statement, because if this is somehow not valid, if this is running before the manager has initiated or whatever, your loading phase for your plugin, for your module, is too early and it's trying to grab this thing while it doesn't exist yet, it's going to crash the engine. Not ideal. So we wrap this in an if statement just in case. Assuming though that it is valid, we're going to use that thumbnail manager reference, and we're going to register a custom renderer to it. And that takes in two different arguments. Number one, the class that we want to use that new custom renderer for. In my case, that is the U item class. The item class is just one of the things that I've made for the plugin. Obviously, it's an inventory plugin. Inventories usually have a concept of an item. In my case, items are primary data assets. What's important is this uItem exists in the runtime module of our plugin. And as such, we get this relationship between the runtime and the editor, where the editor is allowed to look at the runtime module, but the runtime module is never allowed to look at the editor module. Because if the runtime module relies on the editor module being a thing, we can't strip out the editor module when we package the game, and since the editor module relies on some editor code, we need to be able to strip it out, because if it doesn't get stripped out, we just can't package the game. So that is why we have this uItem static class that is telling this custom renderer to use the renderer that we're going to be assigning to any object of that type in the engine. And despite it being in a different module, the editor module is allowed to look at the runtime module and understand what that is doing and what it means to be an item. The second parameter we give in is the, well, renderer. It's going to use this renderer on this object. So we just make a uItem thumbnail renderer as well. And you can see in my item thumbnail here, if we just look down here, we have the item thumbnail renderer.cpp. In this case, I'm going to look at the header file first. I have a U property that just declares a U texture2D pointer, and it's just going to be a default icon. If we don't have an icon assigned at all yet, we need to have some sort of default backup to use, and we're going to set that up in a moment here. The important thing though is the virtual void draw, which has a whole bunch of inputs. Might look intimidating, isn't really that bad, because most of these things we just get given in by the engine, and we need to just forward them into other engine code. We don't need to worry about calculating or doing anything with this stuff. So we have the U object. That's going to be the blueprint or the asset that we want to display this thumbnail for. The integer for the X and the Y position, this gets given in, we just pass it through, we don't need to actually look at this at all. Same with the width and the height, so uint32. It's important to know this, it's important that you give it these parameters. You don't actually need to do all that much with them. Same thing with the f render target pointer, the f canvas pointer, and the bool. They need to be there for the most part. You don't need to worry about the underlying functionality of how those are gotten, what those do. Up on the top here we have the constructor for this, which is just a function that runs whenever this object is created. And for the most part, this isn't necessary. This is just setting that default icon in case, well, no other icon has been given in. So what that does is it creates a static construction helper, f object finder, and this is a function that just lets you find a texture 2D, in this case, based on a file path. So we have this default icon assets, and we are looking in inventory item icon.item icon. If I go back into Unreal here, and I scroll all the way down into showing plugin content as well, if my cursor focus won't mess up. There we go. It also shows plugin content now, and I can take a look at my inventory plugin. We'll be able to see that I have this item icon set up in there. This is a texture 2D, and what this is doing is it's getting that texture 2D, which is an Unreal Engine asset type, and it's getting the actual image out of it. So that's why we see item icon.item icon. Item icon itself is the U asset, and then this .item icon is the PNG that is nested within it. If it succeeded in finding that, we just set our default icon, which we declared over here, to be that default icon assets.objects, which again is going to be our image. That's just a default fallback so that it shows something, even if we don't have a image set up in our data assets. The important part here is in the implementation for the draw method. It takes in all the same things that we did in the declaration, of course. And the very first and most important thing is we're checking if the object or the canvas is not valid. Again, this should essentially never be the case, because these are values given in by engine code for us to make use of. But in the very rare or weird case that any of these two is invalid, if we then try to use these later on, it's going to crash the engine. So you want to make sure that, hey, if either of these is not valid, just do an early return. You'll see a black screen, most likely, in your thumbnail. You'll know that something is wrong because of that, but at least the engine won't crash. Then we need to take our object input, and that object input, to be clear, is going to just be like one of the assets that you have in your content browser. These are going to be the objects that will get passed in. But this is going to be a generic UObject reference, so we need to cast that, we need to upgrade that to our specific UItem class. And that UItem class, as I showed you before, well, that one contains a texture 2D for the inventory icon. Again, something that the game itself uses, but that we in the editor also can use to just make it a little easier to see what we're doing. We then check if that item is valid low level to 1001,000,000% ensure that we're working with an existing asset and we're not trying to sample something that doesn't exist. And we also check then after that if that item has an inventory icon that is also valid low level. If either one of these is not true, then we fall back on the default icon, which we also check whether or not it is valid or not. Then the next bit of code here, you can see, is the same between both the if true or else. And this is actually rendering the thumbnail. So we make a f canvas tile item. I called that tile item. And that takes in a whole bunch of parameters as well when you create it. Number one is the position. You don't need to worry about how to calculate this position or what this position means, because all you need to do is you need to take in the X and the Y that you get given in from the engine code and just forward it to this canvas tile item. That way the engine will tell this other part of the engine where to put it. No need to worry about any of that yourself in this case. We need to give in the texture that we want to render the thumbnail as. And that's going to be our item, inventory icon, and we need to get the resource from it. That's important here because the item icon itself, as I explained before, this is still a Unreal Engine data type. It is a UTexture2D, and a UTexture2D obviously contains the image, but also contains a whole bunch of other metadata. The texture 2D reference itself isn't just the image. It is the image. It might have a little bit of gamma offsets that we have set up in the asset. It has a whole bunch of functions that you can use in engine on a texture 2D. We don't want that. All we want is the actual pixel data, the actual image for our texture. So that's what getResource does. It just gets the texture resource itself without all that other stuff. Then we give in the vector2D for size. Once again, we just forward in the width and the height for it. Don't worry about any of that yourself. And you can give it a color tint. By default, you're probably going to want this to just tint as white, which is just display every color the same way that we input it. You might have some code to say, hey, this type of item, I want to tint it red, always. And you could write a little bit of code to maybe cast it, check if it is a certain type of item, and then set this color to be red or blue or green or any other type of color that you want. Because the draw function in this case is just getting a texture and rendering it as the thumbnail, but this is an entire function of code. You can do anything you want in here, right? You can have a whole bunch of different checks and if statements to see, hey, is this true? Then we want it to render like this. Is this true? Then maybe we don't want to use the image at all, but we want to dynamically draw a texture based on other input data. Really weird type of stuff that you can do. You can write any code you want. This is just the very most basic implementation of, hey, asset has a reference to an image. We're going to render that image as the thumbnail. After that, we get our tile item. We set its blend mode. In my case, I've set it to translucent. It's probably not a bad idea to set this to opaque for the most part. It just pretty much has all of the blend modes that you would be used to in a shader graph as well. And then we get in the canvas from the input here that we get with the draw function, and we finally tell it to draw an item, and it needs to take in a reference to the tile item that we just made. And again here, else refers to if either the item itself or the item icon isn't valid, and in that case we just do all of this, but instead of giving in the item inventory icon get resource, what we do is we just get our default icon get resource and our default item gets set up here to sample this image over here. And with all of that, we end up with a system like this, where our different items actually display with their in-game images in the editor. Maybe in the future, I will make a more in-depth, step-by-step, let's make a plugin in C++ series, where we go through this and actually reconstruct this from scratch. But for now, this is the overview of exactly how my code works and how it sets that up. And if you want to support this type of content and get access to all the project files for all of my tutorials, you can become a member here on YouTube or a Patreon. And thanks to my Cave students, tier supporters, Oigu and Earl Monserval Erno, and my Cave Digger tier supporters, Classy Crustaceo, the Joshimator, Mauricio Farias, and Cheng the Dude.